Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're diving into a question that shaped the entire work of Carl Gustav Jung. What does it mean to become a whole human being? Jung believed that modern people were becoming increasingly fragmented, torn between social roles, expectations, internal conflicts, and the collective forces that pull us into patterns we don't fully understand. What he couldn't have foreseen was the digital age, a world where fragmentation is not a side effect, but a default state of consciousness. To understand Jung today, we need to revisit three of his core ideas: the unconscious, the shadow, and individuation, the lifelong process of integrating all aspects of the psyche. And as we explore them, we'll see that Jung wasn't writing for a different century at all. He was writing for us, for a time in which the inner world is drowning in noise. The unconscious as an intelligent system. Jung rejected the idea of the unconscious as a mere storage place for forgotten memories. He saw it as an active, self-regulating system, one that continually sends signals, warnings, and symbolic messages. In the 21st century, however, the unconscious is often treated like an outdated concept. We assume we are rational, conscious agents, but the data says otherwise. We swipe, choose, react, buy, desire, and fear for reasons we rarely understand. In this sense, modern psychology is rediscovering Jung's insight. Most of our mental life is not conscious at all. Jung would say that the unconscious compensates for whatever the conscious attitude lacks. If we embrace hyperproductivity, we get burnout dreams. If we embrace cynicism, we get longing for connection. The psyche tries to balance itself, but if we refuse to listen, the unconscious becomes louder through anxiety, symptoms, obsessions, projections. The shadow in a hyperconnected world. Jung's shadow was not the dark side in a moral sense, but everything we refuse to acknowledge. In previous eras, the shadow emerged through interpersonal conflict or personal struggle. Today, it erupts online. Anonymous aggression, ideological extremism, compulsive comparison, the quickness with which we label others as inferior, all of these are shadow phenomena. Not because people suddenly became worse, but because we created an environment where the shadow has unlimited outlets. Jung warned that what remains unconscious is acted out blindly. If we repress anger, we find enemies everywhere. If we repress vulnerability, we become cruel to the weak. If we repress desire, our lives become filled with restless substitutes. Digital culture amplifies this dynamic. A curated self-image requires a suppressed counter-image. The more we polish the persona, the more our shadow swells underneath. Jung believed that true moral growth only begins when we admit our capacity for darkness, not to justify it, but to integrate it. Archetypes and the collapse of meaning. Jung's idea of archetypes, ancient patterns of human experience, sounds abstract until we consider how quickly modern society produces collective emotions. Viral outrage, mass fear, hero worship, tribal loyalty, these are not new behaviors. They are repetitions of primordial patterns. Jung believed that when societies lose symbolic meaning, archetypal forces return in raw, uncontained form. We see this everywhere today. People searching for existential certainty in political identities, spiritual branding, moral absolutism, or grand narratives that promise belonging. The psyche seeks structure, and when it doesn't find it internally, it seeks it externally, often in destructive forms. Individuation, the work of becoming whole. Individuation was Jung's answer to psychological fragmentation. It doesn't mean becoming perfect, it means becoming authentic, reconciling the inner contradictions instead of pretending they don't exist. Jung believed the self, an archetype representing wholeness, naturally pulls us toward integration. But this process requires confronting the shadow, listening to dreams, questioning collective expectations, and learning to tolerate inattention without collapsing into extremes. In our age of instant gratification, individuation is radical. It demands patience, it demands introspection, it demands honesty. And most importantly, It demands stepping out of the collective trance long enough to hear one's inner voice. Why Jung matters more than ever. Modern humans face psychological challenges Jung could not have predicted. Constant stimulation, endless comparison, algorithmic manipulation, and the erosion of solitude. Yet all of these amplify the very dynamics Jung described. His message is not mystical, it's deeply practical. If we do not build a relationship with the unconscious, we will be controlled by it. If we do not face our shadow, we will project it outward. If we do not seek meaning, we will cling to substitutes. And if we do not individuate, we will dissolve into the collective, losing ourselves in the process. The unconscious is not an enemy. It is a companion, ancient, wise, and often inconvenient. It asks us not for compliance, but for dialogue. And the great task of our time may be learning how to speak that inner language again. Because no matter how fast the world becomes, the soul still moves at the speed of truth.